Here is something that should make you stop and think. The aging industry is worth hundreds of billions of dollars. Creams, supplements, procedures, all promising to slow the clock. But what if the real answer is not something you put on your body, but something you stop putting into it? What if the grocery store, not the pharmacy, is where your aging problem starts? After the age of 60, your body changes in profound ways. Your metabolism slows, inflammation rises, your gut microbiome shifts, hormonal regulation weakens. And because of these changes, certain foods that were maybe tolerable in your 30s or 40s become genuinely destructive. They trigger inflammatory cascades. They spike blood sugar in ways that glycate your proteins and literally harden your tissues. They disrupt the gut bacteria that control your immune system, your mood, and even your brain function. And the cruel irony is that many of these foods are presented to you as health food. We are not talking about obvious junk food. We are talking about things in your refrigerator right now. Things your spouse buys. Things your doctor has probably never questioned. And the longer you eat them, the faster your biological clock ticks, regardless of your genetics, regardless of how much you exercise. Let me paint you a picture. Chronic inflammation, called inflammaging by scientists, is now considered the #1 driver of accelerated aging. It is linked to heart disease, dementia, diabetes, arthritis, and even depression. And what feeds inflammation? Primarily your diet. Every meal is either fighting inflammation or fueling it. There is no neutral, and after 60, the margin for error gets razor thin. Researchers at Harvard Medical School have found that the dietary choices after age 60 have a disproportionately large impact on biological aging compared to younger decades. This means the food choices you make today carry more consequences than they ever did before. And yet most people are still eating the same way they ate at 45, not realizing their body now processes things fundamentally differently. So what are these foods? Let us go through all 5 of them right now. Food 1. White bread and refined flour products. The most surprising one we saved for last, but you need to know this first. This is the one that shocks most people the most. White bread. Flour tortillas, white pasta, crackers, biscuits. These are staples in most American and South Asian households, and they are quietly accelerating your aging more than almost anything else on this list. Here is why. Refined carbohydrates cause rapid blood sugar spikes. When blood sugar spikes, your body produces insulin. But after 60, insulin sensitivity declines significantly, so more glucose stays in your bloodstream longer. That excess glucose then attaches to proteins and fats in your body in a process called glycation, and the byproducts of glycation called AGEs. Advanced glycation end products literally cross-link and stiffen your tissues. They harden your arteries. They make your skin lose elasticity. They cloud the lenses of your eyes. They stiffen your joints. Think of it like caramelizing sugar in a pan. The sugar browns and hardens. The same process is happening inside your body every time you eat refined flour. And it is irreversible. Once those proteins are glycated, you cannot unglycate them. You can only stop adding more damage. This is why diabetics age so much faster. They have chronically elevated blood sugar, and the glycation is constant. But here is the thing. You do not have to be diabetic for this to be destroying you. Even moderate blood sugar spikes from a couple of slices of white toast with breakfast accumulate damage over years. What to do instead? Switch to 100% whole grain sourdough bread, which has a much lower glycemic impact due to the fermentation process. Or try almond flour flatbreads, or rye bread with visible grain texture. These satisfy the same cravings without the glycation cascade. Food 2. Vegetable oils, canola, soybean, corn oil. This one will likely surprise you even more than the bread. We were told for decades that vegetable oils, canola oil, soybean oil, corn oil, sunflower oil, were the heart-healthy alternatives to saturated fats like butter and lard. That was one of the biggest dietary mistakes of the 20th century. These oils are ultra-high in omega-6 polyunsaturated fatty acids. Now, your body needs some omega-6, but the ideal ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 in the human diet is roughly 4:1. The average modern has a ratio of 20:1, or even higher. That massive omega-6 excess drives chronic, systemic inflammation throughout your entire body. And as we discussed, inflammation is the engine of accelerated aging. But it gets worse. These oils are highly unstable when exposed to heat. When you cook with canola oil or soybean oil at high temperatures, frying, sautéing, roasting, the fatty acids oxidize and create toxic aldehydes and free radicals. These compounds damage your DNA, your mitochondria, and your cell membranes. Multiple studies have now linked high consumption of oxidized vegetable oils to increased risk of cardiovascular disease, neurological decline, and cancer. And almost every processed food on the shelf, crackers, chips, packaged bread, salad dressings, even some protein bars, is made with these oils. What to do instead? Cook with extra virgin olive oil on low to medium heat or use avocado oil for higher heat cooking. Both have favorable fatty acid profiles and do not oxidize dangerously at cooking temperatures. For baking, grass-fed butter or coconut oil are excellent choices. Food 3. Added sugar, especially in healthy disguises. We all know sugar is not great, but what most people over 60 do not realize is how much hidden sugar they are consuming daily in foods they genuinely believe are healthy. Flavored yogurt, fruit juice, granola, protein shakes, low-fat salad dressings, store-bought smoothies, oatmeal packets, canned soups, all loaded with added sugar, often disguised under names like dextrose, maltose, fruit juice, concentrate, agave syrup, or cane juice. The consequences of excess sugar after 60 are staggering. First, the glycation issue we mentioned with refined carbs. Sugar is the most direct driver of this. Second, excess sugar feeds harmful gut bacteria and drives dysbiosis, an imbalance in your microbiome that weakens your immune system and increases intestinal permeability, what people call leaky gut. Third, chronic high sugar intake suppresses immune function. Studies show that consuming high amounts of sugar measurably reduces your white blood cells' ability to fight pathogens for several hours after eating. And fourth, fructose. The type of sugar found in high fructose corn syrup and in large amounts of fruit juice is processed directly by your liver and converted to fat, driving non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, visceral fat accumulation, and metabolic syndrome. After 60, your pancreas produces less insulin efficiently, your liver is less forgiving, your gut is more vulnerable. Sugar at this stage of life hits harder and with more lasting damage than at any earlier decade. What to do instead? Read ingredient labels and aim for less than 25 grams of added sugar per day, ideally under 15 grams. Satisfy sweet cravings with berries, which are low glycemic and packed with polyphenols that actively fight aging. Use small amounts of raw honey or pure maple syrup if needed. They at least contain trace minerals. Food 4. Ultra-processed dairy, low-fat and flavored products. Wait, is dairy bad? Not exactly. The issue is ultra-processed dairy, specifically low-fat flavored yogurts, processed cheese slices, artificially flavored creamers, and powdered dairy additives found in packaged foods. These products have been stripped of the natural fats that help nutrient absorption, then pumped full of sugar, artificial flavors, gums, stabilizers, and emulsifiers. The emulsifiers, substances like carrageenan, polysorbate 80, and carboxymethylcellulose, are added to improve texture and shelf life. But research, published in the journal Nature, has shown that these emulsifiers disrupt the protective mucus layer in your gut, directly altering your microbiome composition and promoting low-grade intestinal inflammation. For someone over 60 whose gut lining is already thinning with age, this is a recipe for accelerated immune dysfunction and systemic inflammation. Additionally, low-fat dairy products are often significantly higher in lactose, the milk sugar, than their full-fat counterparts. After 60, lactase production naturally decreases, meaning more of that lactose gets fermented by gut bacteria, producing bloating, discomfort, and inflammatory compounds. Many people blame their digestive discomfort on aging, when they should be blaming the low-fat dairy aisle. What to do instead? Choose full-fat, plain, whole milk yogurt, ideally Greek style, with live cultures and no added sugar. Kefir is another excellent option. If you tolerate cheese, choose aged full-fat cheeses like Parmesan, aged cheddar, or Gouda, which are naturally lower in lactose and rich in vitamin K2. Food 5. Alcohol. Even the one glass of wine is good myth. And here we arrive at the fifth food, and this one requires us to dismantle one of the most persistent health myths of the past 30 years. The idea that a daily glass of red wine is good for your heart. This claim was largely based on epidemiological studies that showed moderate drinkers had better heart outcomes than heavy drinkers. But those studies compared moderate drinkers to people who had quit drinking, many of whom had quit because of existing health problems. When you compare moderate drinkers to true lifetime abstainers, the cardiac benefit largely disappears, and the harms become much clearer. After 60, alcohol is uniquely destructive for several reasons. First, your liver metabolizes alcohol more slowly as you age, meaning higher blood alcohol concentrations from the same amount. Second, alcohol is a direct neurotoxin. It shrinks brain volume, damages white matter, and accelerates cognitive decline. Studies using brain imaging technology show measurable brain shrinkage even in moderate drinkers. Third, alcohol disrupts sleep architecture, specifically REM sleep and slow-wave sleep, which is when your body and brain do their most critical repair work. Poor sleep is one of the fastest accelerators of biological aging. Fourth, alcohol is directly inflammatory, raising markers like interleukin-6 and C-reactive protein. And fifth, alcohol suppresses testosterone and human growth hormone in both men and women. hormones that are already declining after 60 and that are essential for muscle maintenance, metabolism, and overall vitality. Even one drink per day over time measurably increases your risk of atrial fibrillation, liver disease, several cancers, and cognitive impairment. The resveratrol in red wine that people cite as a benefit. You would need to drink over 100 glasses of wine per day to get a therapeutic dose. You can get resveratrol from grapes, blueberries, and peanuts without the damage. What to do instead? If you enjoy the ritual of wine with dinner, try non-alcoholic red wine, which does contain polyphenols, or a sparkling water with a splash of tart cherry juice and a slice of orange. The social ritual can remain intact without the neurological and inflammatory cost. So there you have it. White refined flour products driving glycation. Vegetable oils flooding your body with oxidized omega-6 fats. Hidden added sugar feeding inflammation and gut dysbiosis. Ultra-processed low-fat dairy destroying your gut lining. And alcohol accelerating brain aging, hormonal decline, and systemic inflammation. Now here is the great news. You do not have to do all 5 at once. Research on habit change consistently shows that replacing one food at a time produces more lasting results than overhauling everything simultaneously. So start with the one that hits closest to home. Maybe it is the vegetable oil. Swap it for olive oil this week. Maybe it is the flavored yogurt. Buy plain whole milk yogurt instead. One change this week. Your body will respond faster than you expect, because here is what happens when you remove these 5 foods from your diet. Inflammation drops, measurably, clinically. Your gut microbiome begins to rebalance within weeks. Your blood sugar regulation improves. Your sleep quality rises. Your energy stabilizes. Your joints feel less stiff in the morning. Your skin starts to look clearer. And perhaps most importantly, your cognitive sharpness, that mental edge you thought was just part of aging, can actually come back. Because much of what we call aging is actually inflammation. And inflammation is largely dietary. You are not stuck. Your body wants to heal. You just have to stop giving it reasons not to. If this video helped you, do me one favor. Share it with someone over 60 who needs to hear this. It could genuinely make a difference in their health. Drop a comment below telling me which of these 5 foods surprised you most. I read every single comment. And if you have not subscribed yet, now is the time. Hit that subscribe button, tap the bell, and I will see you in the next video. Because next week, we are covering the 5 foods that actively reverse aging after 60. The other side of this story. You do not want to miss it. Stay healthy. I will see you soon.